Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our 45-minute webinar, how RFID enhances returnable container tracking and reduces loss. The first half hour will be a discussion by our three speakers, but based on your engagement with lots of questions during the past RFID webinars, we dedicated the last 15 minutes to addressing these. Two housekeeping items before we get started. The session is being recorded, and you will receive a link over the next few days by email. Secondly, please submit your questions throughout the presentation in the Q&A section, and we will be addressing these during the last 15 minutes. For those of you just familiar with Barcodes Inc. and OCR Canada, I want to quickly introduce you to our new brand, Levada. First, we continue to offer the same range of products and services you know today. Our partnership with leading manufacturers gives you unrivaled access to the best devices on the market, enhanced by service and support to keep your organization moving forward. With over 200,000 customers worldwide, including 84% of the Fortune 500 served, Levada exists to elevate your potential by providing strategies, solutions, and services to power modern environments, so you can rise as an enduring force in a world of motion. Levada combines our established expertise with four leading capabilities, including visibility with RFID, the area of today's webinar. Without clear visibility, materials can go missing, leading to downtime, line stops, and missed shipments. I will have the speakers introduce themselves. Please take it away, Casey.
My name is Casey Lowry, and I'm Levada's principal RFID solutions architect. Over the last 10 years, my career has been strictly RFID focused. I started out RFID solutioning for Steelcase back in 2015, and since then went to work for leading tag service bureaus in the industry, where I work daily with Voyanic equipment to qualify tags for various use cases. After that, I worked for our subsidiary SLS, architecting and implementing solutions for many different use cases. Past 6 months, I've been dedicated to expanding our RFID initiatives directly at Levada.
Awesome. And I'm Trevor Gray. I'm a sales engineer here at Zebra Technologies. And for the last 8 years, I've been working here in different capacities, mostly in the healthcare space. Before that, I actually was a salesperson at Levada as well. So I also started my career there. I'm familiar with the partner community and what they're capable of. And happy to help you guys today learn a little bit about what we can do with RFID.
Hey everyone, I'm Akhila. I'm the co-founder and CTO at Zemalgo. So Zemalgo, we are a smart suite of software where we make RFID turnkey for customers. So instead of having to build custom software to take the data from RFID readers and then push that to your ERP systems, we basically make that turnkey where we can get up and running in pretty quickly. So my background has always been in enterprise software development. Prior to this, I worked at Hitachi doing Internet of Things for Hitachi, and then now helping all customers, mid-sized manufacturers, all the way to large manufacturers and supply chain companies deploy RFID at scale. Yep.
So today, guys, for 3 minutes, and then have about 15 minutes Q&A. But basically, we're going to go over the amounts of returnable container tracking and challenges may lie within that, the benefits and capabilities of RFID in that traceability, and then a couple of case studies, and then just how to go about getting started on with RFID. And so returnable container tracking, it can take many forms. Returnables can be metal, they can be totes, it could just be pallets. But basically, it's a medium to transfer one product to another. Some require items to go insert, returnable to be received in, but in reality, they're used all over the place and lively. So the traceability of these is key, because if you are thinking that you have some in stock or that you have some in your facility. One of the worst cases is not having what you need when you need it. So it can definitely cause shipment disruptions. And the other thing is they're expensive. So you want to know where they're at all times, where they went out to, because up to 15% of those on average don't come back.
Yeah, I think like Casey mentioned, the big thing that we've seen with returnable container tracking is, of course, not being able to get your containers back, but more than that, the downstream effects of it, right? So one, the shipping team spends hours looking for where the right part is, where the container is, if it made it on site or not. We've had issues where, a company had 3 different facilities and one of the containers got dropped off at the wrong facility. And they spent about 3 weeks just trying to locate where this was because everything is sort of done on paper. The other things that we've seen is, it leads to production downtime because now the shipping team is not able to accurately locate where the parts were. The supplier says that they actually shipped it. So the downstream effects of it are pretty expensive. And then just knowing, which suppliers are meeting your SLAs and which suppliers are not meeting your SLAs. I always ask this to customers saying, do you know, if the suppliers are shipping you parts on time? And they're like, yeah, we think so, but then nobody knows for sure because there's no real-time tracking. I mean, for the most part, I've seen there's typically a clipboard with a paper which is hung on the dock, and somebody goes in and checks off, as many totes as they can. But again, shipping dock doors are so huge that trying to find these totes which all look identical is a huge burden, on everybody involved. So I think there's definitely the manual elimination, but the fact that people are not able to locate it and spending hours or even weeks trying to locate this stuff and then leading to like thousands of dollars of production downtime. I think we've seen people being able to eliminate all of that with RFID tracking because, again, no people are involved. You get accurate timestamps of where stuff is, and then you're able to match up all your SLAs.
And so what exactly is RFID? So at a glance, RFID stands for radio frequency identification. And what it really means is that we have chips embedded into our inlays and normal labels that you might see out there. There's a lot of packages out there today that you're probably getting that have some of these in there. The United States Postal Service is doing that as well for all of your packages. So you'll have these inlays inside these labels. And then what we can do with some of our printers over here at Zebra is actually encode those types of tags to have encrypted data that can then be read by different types of tag readers and devices, antennas, things like portals that SLS makes rather at the door that you can use to better manage your inventory, or in the case that Akila mentioned, completely remove humans out of the factor for doing some of that inventory as well. And then all of that data that you get from those reads is then once again collected, utilized to whether it be meet SLAs, transform your data to understand how your business can better operate and flow, different dock door utilization habits, things of that matter. You get that kind of insight with these types of tools and data that can really help transform your business in unique ways. And so what are some of the other hardware portfolio options that that we're going through? We have obviously printers and medias of different sizes. We have mobile printers all the way up to big industrial printers that you see here in the slide to be able to encode and encrypt these RFID tags for assets. We have handheld scanners, so whether they be devices with screens or devices that are simply Bluetooth back to a certain application. We have those types of capabilities for reading those tags in mass. And then we have for longer range deployments or longer range read, we have different types of antennas and mountain readers, as well as overhead options for portals. As you see there over on the right is one of our ATRs, which can cover a pretty wide area, an entire dock door up to 30 feet, and then be able to actually measure directionality and give somewhat of a real-time location for some of the assets or returnable tracking that you guys might need for getting an asset out there in the field quickly deployed or quickly visualized.
Yeah, so I think, like I mentioned in my introduction, in the past, we would talk to customers about trying to do RFID, and a lot of the installation or getting the data out of it, making sure that the data was, clean, and porting that over to the ERP system was typically, custom 6-month long or a year long engagement. And then they would do it for one building, and then now to stretch it out to other buildings, it would start getting more and more expensive. So our goal with Zemalgo is really to provide a Square-like software where you can, it's just plug and play. The readers, we integrate very deeply with SLS readers. You deploy them, they will directly talk to our software in the cloud. There is no on-premise hardware or IT management or anything that needs to be done. We'll just take that data, we'll map that data using metadata to say, okay, this is your container, it's arrived here. This is what it means in terms of, okay, now it's been received. You can match it up against an ASN, automatically sign off on an ASN using that, or on an RMA, if you're shipping stuff. So all of that integration is pre-built into our platform, and we work with every single major or even homegrown ERP out there, everything from SAP all the way down to like homegrown ERP systems, where we can easily integrate this data back and forth. So you can do automated shipment receives or automated sort of RMA receipts and things like that. We recently did a deployment of this for a big automotive customer. I think we had 100 doctors that we got up and running in the software in 2 days. So yeah, if you're looking at any of that sort of scale, the software is built for that scale. And if you're at a smaller scale, we can very easily get that up and running too. And we're continuously monitoring all the readers. We're doing all of that on your behalf. And then the software also has support, which comes directly to our team, and then we work with the hardware teams to support you on an ongoing basis. So this is not like traditional, client applications where you deploy once and then, you are sort of on your own. This is ongoing sort of managed software that you get. And we have we have different modules. So if you want to start with tracking your totes and then also want to track those going into production and then going into finished goods, you can keep extending visibility that way.
All right, so at Levada, what we want to do is make this easy for you. DNA to your operation. So we'll start out with a call, and to know your objectives, like where we can help, right? Get to know how you do things today and advise on tomorrow. So, sometimes we can do that with just an initial call. Sometimes there's a follow-up for just an on-site consultation to understand your business a little bit better. And then that way we get some of our experienced engineers that are on site, what technology can help you improve your business process. And once we get to the point where we feel like we're good, right, and we can help, sometimes we move to a proof of concept. Let's say it's we feel comfortable that the technology will work, but it's a situation where we haven't done the exact thing. We'll move to a proof of concept phase. A use case that might be feasible but not tried and true. We'll do a proof of concept, prove that our solution is feasible, show you in a vacuum what it takes to work, and that to the solution. And then we move on to the planning phase, which is getting ready for the, and then pretty soon after that, you'll be looking to get that ROI back. And in most cases, it comes back in weeks or months.
So what are some of the benefits of RFID over barcoding? So one of the nice things is, and obviously the biggest thing is the scan method. With barcodes, you need to be able to look at them and read them with a laser light or whatever, the imager that you have. With RFID, sending out those antenna waves, you don't need to be able to actually see the tag. As long as it's within the vicinity of the wave and bounces back, you can read those tags. So what does that allow? It allows for obviously a lot faster speed of reading. A whole pallet can come in, and you can, with a mobile device and a wave of your hand with the reader on, can capture thousands of tags per second, getting that data quickly into the Zemalgo systems or data systems to be able to report back. And the read range is obviously vast when we're talking about dock doors. An entire reader can cover a dock door, whether, for all of those types of tags, whether with the barcode scanner, you'd have to be going individually and tagging each item by hand, which takes a lot of time. And with the difference in barcoding, it's just saying where things are in time. And with RFID, like I had mentioned earlier, we have a little bit more visibility to say, here's actually where it is right now and where is it moving to. And that's a big difference. And obviously scalability. The biggest thing about RFID is once you get it and you start seeing the capabilities of something that works, it's going to be easily scaled, and you're going to want to keep scaling it further and further and further. Hey, what if we can track the forklifts now that we have the returnable containers? What about some of our other items that we're doing that are expensive? Maybe things that we are always losing. Maybe our laptops. Maybe things of that nature. Maybe our employee ID badges, so we can make sure we can monitor for safety if something happens. There's a lot of different use cases that you can use once you get started with RFID.
Yeah, so I think like Trevor was saying, that there's a lot of different things that you can do. I mean, some of the most common things that we see customers do is being able to quickly locate. So you have overhead readers, which will give you a breadcrumb trail of where your totes were. But then since everything looks identical, if you want to find a specific tote, one of the most used features that we see is this Geiger counter, where you can quickly go locate a specific tote, even between what was used. I think I was just looking at metrics. We had about 5,000 users of this feature just in just the last month for customers just trying to quickly locate things. So instead of taking weeks or days to find stuff, you can find things in a couple of minutes. What Trevor was saying, the ability to scan and count things fast, right? So being able to cycle count, you can actually capture thousands of tags per second just using an RFID handle. If you've been to Target or some of these stores, like that's what they're using to do their cycle counts, is quickly being able to capture stuff, and you can do the same within your operations also. And then being able to map out where things are, right? So knowing where things are they in the right location? Are they not in the right location? Are they running ahead, behind? So being able to do that entire thing through. So RFID, I mean, once you have RFID in place, there's a lot more that you can achieve out of it, not just knowing where something is at. So this is a real world use case that that Casey and I were on site recently to track this. There's a Walmart requirement for most retail manufacturers to be able to tag their boxes with RFID and then being able to capture if they're accurately getting loaded onto the truck or not. And you can do the same way while unloading also, right? The same approach sort of works. So there's labels that are applied at the end of the manufacturing line to each one of these boxes. And then we have that ASN. So the forklift driver is able to pull up the ASN, make sure everything is accurately captured against the ASN. And then if it isn't, then, there's a stack light which tells the operator that, did they ship correctly or not. So right now they load, say, 400 or 500 boxes on a truck. Everything is manually counted. Even then they have misses, they get fined for that. And all of that is now eliminated because now we have a digital trail of all of it. So Ed, if you just want to play the quick video so folks can see it live. So this is actually their forklift driver. He's taking a box. You can see the SLS portals on, and then the software is accurately capturing, everything that's getting loaded. So as soon as it gets loaded, it updates in real time for the forklift operator to make sure that the right number of boxes got onboarded. So he's going to come and get another pallet. And you can see he's just driving at normal speed, right? So the readers are super beefy, like they can pick up a ton of tags as they are scanning and passing by. So in their case, I mean, right now you see it on the laptop, but in their case, they've actually mounted the tablet on the forklift itself. It says this is complete. We captured everything. And then you can see there's a light that goes off on top of the portal saying, hey, the entire load was loaded correctly. So it's very, very intuitive for them to use and capture. So this next use case, it's actually at the Zebra Experience Center. If anybody wants to see this working live, you're welcome to go to the Zebra Experience Center and check this out. So it's a bunch of totes that are getting shipped through, and you can see, there's an overhead reader and SLS readers, but we'll play the video and sort of talk through it.
So now that we have our completed and validated order with an RFID label on the outside of the tote, again, this could be a pallet, it could be an e-commerce order, but all the items are aggregated. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to send this out into our truck underneath the ATR where we're tracking directionality to know if this tote is coming or going. So we can go ahead and wheel it in, and this will mark the tote and all the items in it as shipped. As items are coming back into the facility, we can either automatically receive them in using an ATR or dock door portals, or if we don't have RFID at the facility, or maybe it's a customer site, we can still leverage RFID and barcode and potentially even some manual checks on really any device. I have here the TC53E RFID, so this has an integrated RFID scanner in it. But what we're going to do is utilize our goods receipt feature. So we're going to receive these items into our stockroom, use the barcode scanner to grab the tracking number on the order. So this will pull up the order manifest, the same thing that we validated on the outbound shipment. We see our tracking number. If we go ahead and start our scan, we've got this manifest here, so the same 3 items that we put in the tote. Start our scan, and we can actually validate all the contents inside this without having to open the crate.
Yeah, so I think that, as you saw, there's lots of different form factors. That question comes up quite a bit. What if I can't do portals because my end customer doesn't have hardware? There's a lot of different ways. You can use handheld readers, mounted readers, portals, and the Levada team is their expertise is designing the right solution. So they'll work with you to make sure that the right hardware is picked for depending on your requirements. This is a use case that we worked with the Levada team on to capture the entire production line for the G3 boats as a Yamaha boat company, and making sure as boats are going from one facility to the other and then moving through the production line, they're getting actually actively captured. Prior to this, they don't have an ERP system. It's a very old school sort of facility. Everything is tracked on paper. They don't have any historical data. So if they're running ahead, running behind, are they going to make their boats on time? They really have no data. And a lot of the folks that work at that facility are not very digitally literate. So what the management wanted to do was have an autonomous system where the data would be automatically captured without people having to really enter data into a system. And that's what we were able to achieve using this. But I'll let Casey and Trevor sort of talk to how we made that happen.
Yeah, sure. And like you had mentioned, from the Zebra perspective, there's a ton of different hardwares that can get involved, right? Whether you want to be involved and be hand-on with it to actually get some of that validation, or in this case, using different types of portals and FX readers so that we don't have to have anybody involved. We just get the data collected, and then we process it in the back end and make sure we're doing what we need to do. So from the Zebra perspective, that's where the tags and the hardware come into play, is where we play best to make sure that we have the different types of solutions and hardware to support that.
Yeah, and from the Levada perspective, what we were able to do was just carefully be able to bring partners like for hardware and software, like Trevor and Aquila, into the situation, and carefully plan a strategy to deploy and execute the solution. Giving the customer a single point of contact is huge. Being able to basically just plan out everything and guide them along the way. And so that segue into the next slide, right? Like, so that's what we do. We want to utilize like our experience and expertise and help you to solution your use case. And so we've done it across multiple industries. We typically go a scalability approach. A lot of the times the best strategy with this, at least until there's buy-in with the technology, is the crawl, walk, run approach. So a lot of times we'll see a deployment start small, something to gain a little trust, a little faith, make sure that we've established a trust before you scale up. So it might be starting off with a pilot with yours, or maybe one building, you have multiple in mind. Getting that in place and understanding the technology and knowing what the benefits are can be huge and long term. And so basically the way that we do things is we always kick it off with a discovery call. It's like, we want you to meet with architects, which and at least 3 or 4 discovery calls a week myself. And so we figure out, what your business problems are, what you're trying to solve, where your ROI opportunities are. And really just if we're a right fit. There's some, customers out there. RFID is a big buzzword in the industry. We want to make sure that, we're not just using RFID to use RFID. We want to make sure that if you're deploying the solution, that it's a good fit for you and us as a customer. We want to bring you something that you're proud of. You want to show it off. We want to make every site a reference site. So we want to make sure it's a good fit. And then once we get a good understanding of what your process is, where your opportunities lie, then we can come up with a rough order of magnitude, basically just listing out, what the initial costs are, what it looks like yearly, and then see if this is the right fit for you. See if it's going to be, more of a hurdle than we're looking for. Make sure that everybody's in agreement. And then, with as long as all parties are in agreement there, we move on to test and proof of concept phase.
Well, thank you very much, Casey, Trevor, and Kayla for sharing your insights. So now it's time for them to answer your questions. So please, as some people have done already, enter your questions in the Q&A area, and we'll address them in order that they come in. Now, before we get to that, we look forward to discussing with you how RFID can help your business. So if you would like to receive an evaluation from Casey and his team to learn how RFID can track returnable assets, reduce loss, and operate with greater confidence and efficiency, please send us an email or scan the QR code. So let me start here with the question that came in regarding the accuracy of RFID scanning. And let me read the whole question off. Is there a possible risk of interference if 2 people are using handheld RFID scanners near one another? So person A is scanning a pallet of items, person B is scanning another pallet of items. Could it ever be the case that items from person B will register on person A's scanner?
So I can go ahead and answer a little bit of that. So there's 2 different scenario answers there. So they could collect that, but the thing is that the software in the background, the Zemelgo software, is set up in such a way that often we're not looking for that, right? It's you'd be amazed how many RFID tags are actually out on items. Sometimes in furniture and desks and chairs out in offices, there's a lot of RFID tags inside there that can even be captured, right? But with the way that we have the software set up, it's, and you saw kind of a little bit in the video, the scanning the tote or how your system would have a work order set up. It's only going to be looking for those items. So of course there might be, instances where it captures other tags, but it's really not going to matter as much as the software is only looking for certain instances. And in the case of, dock doors and things like that, we're actually managing the actual antenna powers, and we can do that a little bit on the handhelds as well to make sure that there's minimal interference or overlap in those types of reads.
Yep.
So one question we get quite a bit, and maybe you guys can address it. Does the substrate matter? Like these containers can be made of metal, they can be small, they can be large, they can be used in a cold facility, a little hot facility. What are the kind of the limitations, if there's any, related to RFID using for the accuracy of your business?
I can speak to a little of that again. Yeah, I would say that the 2 big things that come across as a little more challenging with RFID is liquids as well as metals. So we have, the special type of solution, our Silverline series of tags for on metal applications. So we have the capability that's been well done in the automotive industry and cases like that for on metal tagging. With liquid, it's just also, the capability for antenna waves to get captured and absorbed by liquids is much more common, and as compared to other materials. So it's just more of a try and test there when we're tagging items that are liquid or made completely of water.
And then the other question we get quite a bit, and maybe you can touch on it. RFID has so many advantages, but at the same time, it needs to be an investment that pays for itself. How do you go about it? Maybe Casey, you can start it when you start working with a client that's just exploring this. How do you work on some kind of an ROI estimate to see if it's worthwhile continuing or not?
Yeah, first of all, can you hear me better now? I apologize if the mic had any issues previously. I just saw those notes. Can you
Yeah,
hear
you're
me?
good right now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good. Yeah, like as for ROI calculation, the main thing that we end up using is we have, you know, a rough monthly cost for everything that we are putting together in a hardware. That's the way that we want to break everything out and understand just what this is going to cost regularly, what the initial investment would be, and then, you know, what kind of returns that it's going to provide, right? And we lean on the customer a little bit to help out with the main things is we want to look at Pareto charts. We want to see where the pain points are in your process, and then figure out, you know, how much money you're losing because of inefficiencies. And we'll compare those directly to the costs that we have for the equipment, whether it's the hardware, software, consulting services, and then break them all out so that we know that, okay, the payback is going to occur in X amount of months or years, depending on the scale of the project.
Great. This is a good one for Trevor for you to take. So when you're talking, you know, crawl first before you walk and run, talk about hardware. I mean, what's unique about an RFID specific scanner, for instance? Or can you in the crawl phase work with existing Zebra handhelds using your current Wi-Fi or not?
Yeah, good question. So there are going to be some extra hardware requirements, generally speaking, for getting this going. If you have your handhelds now, there are an option like an RFD 40 device, which is a Bluetooth paired sled. So you would pair that to your current, you know, mobile computer, and then that's an RFID antenna. And then you could get some tags going, you know, pre-encoded or whatever it might be from Levada, and then you're off and running that way. But also there is the printing aspect and encoding. So an existing Zebra printer, we have conversion kits to RFID to help encode those tags. But yes, there would be an RFID component to make that old hardware RFID capable.
Great. Akila, one for you that's would be a good one. So we're talking about returnable container tracking as an area of focus here, but it could well be that someone says that sounds very interesting, but could I also, how hard is it to expand into an area of like cycle counting, which isn't the need for a lot of people? Could you little talk about
Yeah.
that?
So I think, like I was saying, the way we've built out the software, we have learned from our experiences with manufacturers and distributors, and we've built all of these turnkey applications, right? So we have an application for asset tracking, which is anything long running, you know, your totes, your equipments, inventory, any raw material, finished goods tracking, work in progress tracking. If you want to be able to track your work as it flows through the facility or your shipments, right? So that's all built out of the box. And then there is mobile apps that are available for all of it. So that's the Geiger counter, the cycle counting, knowing, you know, hey, I see that there is 15 items in this area. I want to audit and confirm how much is there. I want to just use my handle to quickly do a swipe of the room to figure out how much is there in a location. So that's also sort of built out of the box. And the beauty of the solution is, you know, unlike a typical consulting software engagement, you're not having to pay for each individual app. It's all part of the software package. You know, you can start with tracking one thing and then you can easily expand to the other stuff because the software is sort of already built in.
Great. Back to you, Trevor. What's the lifespan of a tag, and are they multi-use?
Yeah, so you know, we have some types of tags that are paper type tags that are, you know, meant to be, for example, for your post office shipments that they use there that are only supposed to last a couple days. But we also have tags that are, you know, synthetic materials that can last years on top of those types of containers and different types of instances. So, they last a long time. Are they multi-use? Generally speaking, no. Could they be encoded and re-encoded? Yes, but you're not going to be pulling off that adhesive and back on. So generally speaking, we just say that they're a one-time use type product. And for most of those things like the paper and things like that, we're talking pennies for tags. So we're not talking extremely expensive at all.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that a little bit, most of the tags that you see that are in supply chain are passive tags, so they don't require a battery or don't have like a lifespan or anything like that's gonna make you have any maintenance, or they're gonna die out after a period of time. So as long as they're built to withstand the environment, I mean, you could have a tag that lasts for years and years.
Great. Well, with that, we have reached the end of our webinar. So thanks to the audience for attending today. And I really appreciate the work of Casey, Trevor, and Akila, and share their insights with you and make this a great webinar. So thank you very much, and look forward to talking to you soon. Bye-bye.